Dear friends, welcome to Inquest, in-depth analysis and to the point. In this video, let us discuss about October 2021 editorial, and the article that we are discussing here is related to food security and global hunger. And this article is very useful for your UPSC mains and essay writing, KPSC essay writing, and all other competitive examinations wherein essay writing is one of the components. And the article that we are discussing here is written by Bishav Paranjuli, is actually United Nations World Food Program India representative and country director, and Ramesh Chand is the member Niti Aayog and India's convener of the National Dialogue on Food Systems Summit. And they actually talk about food systems. Now, food systems in the sense starting from its cultivation to time it reaches the plate. They say that there should be reimagination of the food system, and they take India as one of the examples. There are various lessons to learn from India. So in this article, let us see why they say there should be reimagination of the food system and why India is served as one of the examples. Now, why this food security is in news always? Because of an alarming escalation in global hunger, and reaching the goal of an equitable livelihood is a necessity. Now, before getting into the complete article, let us see the gist of everything at once. So for the very first time, we have seen a very new summit that is titled as United Nations Food Systems Summit. So this is held for the very first time in September 2021. And in this summit, the major theme or focus area was again discussions on food security. And as I told you, there was an acceptance that there should be reimagination of the food system across the globe. Now, why this is important? This is very, very important to meet sustainable development goals. Now, in this article, we will be discussing how this food system reimagination is related to sustainable development goals. So that is very, very important. Now, I told you in this article, India has been taken as one of the best examples to developing and underdeveloped nations. So we will be learning the reasons why India is served as one of the examples. So apart from that, even though India is cited as one of the best examples, even then there are so many internal challenges in India. So in this article, we will be discussing about the internal challenges of India. Finally, we will be talking about way forward and conclusion. So this is the total gist of the article. So with this, so let's find out the relevance of this article in UPSC mains examination. If you look at the syllabus in case of GS2, there are titles like welfare schemes for vulnerable section and issues relating to poverty and hunger. In case of GS3, there is a title like buffer stocks and food security. So to address these titles, the articles like this are very much handy to you. And if you look at the previous question papers in case of UPSC mains 2021 GS paper 3, there was question number 13. What are the major factors responsible for making rice wheat system a success? In spite of this success, how has this system become bane in India? So this was asked for 15 marks to write about 250 words. So in this question, if you just analyze this question, so one part of the question is on a positive note and other part of the question is on the negative note. So first thing you need to write about why rice and wheat system is a success. You may include lot many points. To name a few, you can start from abolition of zamindari system, then support given by government like minimum support price, then invention of new fertilizers, green revolution, then high yield varieties. All these things you can include as these points to talk about the success of wheat and rice system in India. At the same time, they say that even though it is a success, it become bane in India. So you can add points like these two crops actually take a lot of water. So this is one of the reasons why the ground level water, or the water level in Punjab, you can take an example, the exhaustion of groundwater. At the same time, MSP that is given by the government, in a way, it is good to the farmers. At the same time, it has the negative side also. The farmers actually concentrate those crops which are in the list of MSP. So that leads to lack of diversification of cultivation. If there is no mixed crops are grown on the land is going to lose the fertility, and there will be ecological imbalance. There will be environmental problems. All these things you can actually sum up in this particular second part of the question. So if you look at questions between 2017 and 2019, there are at least one or two questions in every examination with respect to global hunger or food security and all these factors. So all the questions I will have given at the end of the presentation. You can just go through all the previous year's questions, and to make you understand the importance of this particular article. So in every examination, definitely there are one or two questions that are related to these particular concepts. So this article serves to be very important to you. So now with that, let's come to the main article discussion. So as I told you before, the first and historic United Nations Food System Summit, UNFSS 2021, which was held in September this year. So as I told you, this is the first and historic summit. So it is held in September 2021, concluded after an intense bottom-up process. This idea was conceived in 2019. The idea of summit was conceived in 2019, and it was conceived by United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. And what is the reason for this summit? To find solutions and catalyze the momentum. Catalyze the momentum is nothing but speed in the process to transform the way the world produces in the sense, basically we are talking about the cultivation of crops, not the industries, consumes and how we actually consume it, and thinks about food and help address raising hunger. So basically the summit is focused on alleviation of hunger and to avoid or address the issues related to rising hunger. So this was the for the very first time such summit was held, and the idea was conceived by the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Now I told you this summit was in line with achieving sustainable development goals. There are many things discussed. Now, how this summit is related to achieving sustainable development goals. In terms of larger goals, the food systems transformation is considered essential in achieving Sustainable Development Agenda 2030. This makes strong sense as 11 sustainable development goals out of 17 are directly related to food system. So to tell you in brief, there are total 17 sustainable development goals, out of which 11 sustainable goals are related to food and food security. So that is the reason in order to achieve sustainable development goals, the decisions taken under this summit are very, very important, because most of the the goals that are there in SDG are almost related to food and food security. So that is the reason why. So this is directly related to achieving sustainable development goals. Now, why the Food System Summit and what is the expectations from its outcome? So here, if you look at the recent statistics, every day 8-11 million people across the world go to bed hungry without having a single meal in a day. So it is a huge number and worrying factor. So every day 11 million people go to bed without having a food. And global food systems, the networks that are needed to produce and transform food, ensure it reaches consumers, not just production. So it has to reach the consumer, and the paths that food travels from production to plate. So this is the chain. So it has to reach from production to plate, but this system is in the state of crisis in many countries, affecting the poor and vulnerable. So since this channel is in the state of crisis in many countries, so this is affecting the poor and vulnerable. So that is the reason why the Food System Summit, and this is the expectation. So there should be proper chain of production to plate, so that the poor and vulnerable will not be affected with this particular global hunger. As we see, this number is really worrying. Now, who involved in the summit? The summit created a mechanism for serious debates involving United Nations member states, civil societies, then NGOs, academics, researchers, individuals, and private sector, which is to evolve transformative themes and ideas for reimagining food system. So this is what the author said, the reimagination of food system to enhance satisfaction of all stakeholders, including future generations. So all stakeholders includes starting from producer to consumer, including the future generation. So these are all various groups and organizations involved in this particular summit. Now, the major debate focused on 5 identified action tracks. So these action tracks are very much important for your prelims also, mains also. So they accepted or they identified 5 action tracks. Now, which are all the 5 action tracks? Number 1, ensure access to safe and nutrition food for all. So it is not just the food should be nutritious and it should reach all. So is the first action track. Second, shift to sustainable consumption pattern. So consumption pattern should be sustainable. At the same time, boost nature positive production, then advance equitable livelihood and build resilience to vulnerability, shocks and stress. For example, how we saw food scarcity during COVID-19 or maybe even during disasters, etc. So that is termed as shocks and stress. So these are the 5 identical action tracks of the summit. Now, what is expected target? The summit provided historic opportunity to empower all people to leverage power of food systems to drive our recovery from COVID-19 pandemic and get us back on track to achieve all 17 sustainable development goals by 2030. So this is the target. So we need to get back on track after COVID-19 and achieve all 17 sustainable development goals by the year 2030 is the expected target. And in this summit, the statement of action is also, accepted. Now, what is the statement of action? The statement of action emerging from the summit offers a concise set of ambitions, high-level principles, and area for action to support global call to build back better. So this is the statement of action that they accepted, that is build back better after COVID-19 pandemic. So basically, the vulnerability and the weaker section, the poor, that they faced many problems during the COVID-19. So we need to build back better life to everyone. So this is major focus upon after COVID-19 pandemic. Now let's talk about India and food security. Basically, before that, let us see interdepartmental group constituted by India, that is to achieve sustainable and equitable food systems. So India constituted an interdepartmental group under the chairmanship of one of us. One of us is nothing but Bisho Paranjali and Ramesh Chand, who wrote this article. So with their, one of them has the chairman. So they constituted interdepartmental group with representatives from the ministries of agriculture and farmers welfare and rural development and others. Now, who are all others? Delhi-based United Nations agencies, namely Food and Agriculture Organization, then World Food Program, then we have International Fund for Agricultural Development. So these are the 3 agencies that are also involved. They are actively involved in the dialogue process. Now, what was the intention of this interdepartmental group? The group conducted national dialogue with the various stakeholders of agri-food system to explore national pathways towards creating sustainable and equitable food systems in India. There are lessons from India's tryst with food insecurity. So let us see what are the lessons that should be learned from India. So India was not, good in terms of food security post independence. So it was a long journey basically. So let's see how, India, became better from chronic food shortage to surplus today. The long journey from chronic food shortage. So post independence, there were a lot of problems or issues with food shortage. And today we are surplus food producers. offers several interesting lessons for other developing countries in Asia, Africa, Latin America in the area of land reforms. To give an example, abolition of zamindari system. Then we have public investments like national food security, minimum support price, etc. Institutional infrastructure, maybe development of cold storages, a lot of new regulatory systems, even the public support, intervention in agri markets, the development of APMCs, prices, minimum support price, and there is a lot of agriculture research and extension. So these are many things that India actually started that helped us grow from chronic food shortage to surplus food producers. So these are the lessons that India offers to many other countries like Asia, Africa, and Latin American countries. Now, what was our pathway? So that is not all. The period between 1991 and 2015 saw the diversification of agriculture beyond field crops. So earlier agriculture meant only field crops, but between 1991 and 2015 there was a lot of diversification with the involvement or focus on horticulture, then dairy and animal husbandry and fishery sector. So these three sectors also contributed us to grow in terms of agriculture. And apart from that, one of the other reasons is India's greatest contribution to equity in food is its National Food Security Act 2013 that anchors targeted public distribution system. Now, what do you mean by targeted public distribution system? So we started the system of BPL, below poverty line. So, and to distribute food to that target. So that's called as targeted public distribution. So various schemes like this. Then we know very much, very well the midday meal program that is a great success in India, and integrated child development services, that is ICDS. Today, India's food safety nets collectively reach over 1 billion people. So that's a huge number. So all these, activities or functions or what do you say, the initiatives of India, because of all these reasons, we reached from a shortage of food to surplus of food in India. Now, hence proved. So with all these initiatives, food safety nets and inclusion are linked with public procurement and buffer stock policy. So this was visible during global food crisis 2008 and 12. I mean, between 2008 and 2012. So such crisis, we were able to tackle such crisis during 2008 and 12. So this is due to buffer stock policy, and more recently during COVID-19 pandemic also, vulnerable and marginalized families in India continue to be buffered against the food crisis. So the government could serve vulnerable and marginalized families even during the COVID-19 by its robust target population distribution system and buffer stock of the food grain. So this is why hence proved that India, the policies or initiatives that India has taken has actually saved us during the pandemics and other shocks that the country faced in the past. Now, what is the way forward? So now, even though we are good with respect to surplus production, there are a lot of challenges in the future to face. Now, what are the immediate challenges that needs to be addressed by any country? A look at the challenges and the way forward towards 2050. There are two things that we need to take care. We, in the sense, everybody in the world, the climate change and unsustainable use of land and water resources. So these are the two main areas that any country should focus upon, because these two factors are directly going to impact the agricultural production. If these two things are not taken care of, the production and the yield, the cultivation or agriculture is going to be greatly impacted. That is going to impact food security and global hunger. So are the most formidable challenges food systems face today. The latest Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change IPCC report has set the alarm bells ringing, highlighting the urgency to act now. So we need to act. It is like now or never. So if you don't act now, so it is going to be a greater impact on productivity of food. there is one more takeaway point from India, that is dietary diversification, nutrition, and related health outcomes are another area of concern, as a focus on rice and wheat has created nutritional challenge of its own. So of late, in most parts of India, rice and wheat have become the staple food for most of the population. But there is no problem for serving food, but the problem, once again, it causes is the nutritional challenge. So to tackle that, India has taken a bold decision to fortify rice supplied through the public distribution system with iron. So it is going to, actually, iron is one of the important components to avoid anemia. So to avoid anemia, so India has taken a bold decision to fortify rice supplied through public distribution system with iron. Agriculture research institutions are about to release varieties of many crops having much higher nutrition. See, yield is not the only important thing. At the same time, the food that we are producing should be highly nutritious. So agricultural research institutes in India are helping us to produce a lot of varieties with high nutrition as a long-term solution for undernutrition and malnutrition. So just, surplus production of food is not enough. We should ensure that the food that is produced is nutritious, so that we need to address undernutrition and malnutrition at the same time. Now let us talk about the internal challenges in India. So it is ironic that despite being a net exporter and food surplus country at the aggregate level, India has 50% higher prevalence of undernutrition compared to the world average. So this is really worrying factor. Even though we are surplus producers and 50% higher prevalence of undernutrition, so this is in comparison to world average. But there is something to be satisfied about this also, looking at this number. So, but the proportion of the undernourished population declined from 21.6% during 2004 to 6 to 15.4% during 2018-20. So you can see there is, lot of decrease in this undernourished population. It was 21.6% in 2004 to 6, and it has come down to 15.4% during 2018-20. So this is really, kind of great reduction in undernourished population in India. So it should go in the same path, so that we may reduce it to 0%. So why are we facing these challenges, and what are the measures taken recently? So the high prevalence of undernutrition in country doesn't mean to be due to food shortage or low availability of food. As I told you, India, there is no problem of availability of food. We have surplus food. The government of India and states are seriously concerned about this paradoxical situation of being food surplus, at the same time having 15% of the population undernourished. So today you can take the figure as 15% of the population is undernourished. The problem is, there is no problem of food production in India, but the problem is the food that is produced is not nutritious. So that is the problem, and the government and state governments are seriously concerned about this paradoxical situation. So because of this reason, so they have taken many actions. They are trying to address other possible reasons for low nutrition through several nutritional interventions. And as announced recently, the supply of fortified rice in public distribution systems. So this is one of the measures taken to avoid such undernourished food. And Poshan Abhiyan, so the kind of midday meals is renamed as Poshan Abhiyan, are two steps among many to address the challenge of undernutrition and malnutrition. So these are the two main initiatives that have been initiated right now. There will be many more to come from the government of India and also the state governments. Now, what is the other challenge? Other challenge is food wastage. Reducing food waste and loss of food is a mammoth challenge and is linked to the efficiency of the food supply chain. Food wastage is in India exceeds 1 lakh crore. So this is really worrying factor. Even though we are producing good amount of food, there is food shortage or food wastage in India that exceeds 1 lakh crore. Now, why the world must eliminate hunger? So this is the bigger question now. An alarming escalation in global hunger is unfolding. With the dramatic worsening of the world hunger in 2020, much of it likely related to fallout of COVID-19. So this is seriously a problem to be worried about. After COVID-19 or during COVID-19, there is dramatic worsening of world hunger in the year 2020, because most of the 2020 and some part of 2019, 2021, so the entire world suffered COVID-19. That actually increased world hunger. So this is the reason why we must eliminate hunger. And we say that world is peace. Now, why food is connected to peace of the country? So let us see this in this slide. So it is important to reiterate that hunger and food insecurity are key drivers of conflict and instability across the world. See, any conflict or instability across the world, the major reason is hunger and food security. So if citizens are not fed properly, if they are hunger, or if any country is facing a lot of food insecurity, at the same time there will be a lot of internal conflicts and instability is going to raise in that country. That's why we say food is peace. It is a catchphrase often used to highlight how hunger and conflict feed on each other. So if any country is hunger, that is directly proportional to rise in conflicts in the country. So that is the reason why we say the food is food is peace as a catchphrase, because hunger and conflict, they actually feed on each other. And if you look at the Nobel Peace Prize 2020, it is conferred on United Nations World Food Program, that emphasized that the importance of addressing hunger to prevent conflict and create stability. So giving Nobel Peace Prize 2020 to World Food Program shows that this food security and global hunger, alleviating global hunger, how important the concept is about. So this says, or this emphasizes that to maintain stability or internal peace of any country, serving people without having any global hunger or hunger, and maintaining food security is one of the important solutions to avoid all the conflicts inside. Now, ways to make world free of hunger by 2030. So let us see many different ways to make world free from hunger by 2030. We are on the cusp of our transformation to make the world free of hunger by 2030 and deliver promises for SDGs with strong cooperation and partnership between governments, citizens, civil society organizations, and private sector. We must collaborate to invest, innovate, and create lasting solutions in sustainable agricultural contribution to equitable livelihood, food security, and nutrition. So majorly, we need to, all stakeholders should come together and they work on the common agenda, and not just the production. It should be sustainable agriculture contribution, and the food that is going to be produced should be nutritious. Not just the yield is important, at the same time the nutrition value of the food is also important. Only then we can make world free of hunger by 2030. India has so much to offer from its successes and learning also to prepare itself for next 20-30 years. Now let's come to the conclusion of everything. This surely requires reimagining the food system. So we say not just in India, everywhere across the world, there should be reimagination of food systems, starting from its production to time it reaches the plate, towards the goal of balancing growth and sustainability, mitigating climate change. So I told you this is the right time or high time that we tackle climate change, then ensuring healthy, safety, quality, and affordable food, maintaining biodiversity, improving resilience, and offering an attractive income and work environment to smallholders and youth. Achieving the goal of advancing equitable livelihood requires that the food system's transformation is anchored around small and medium scale production. It doesn't matter how big a producer is. So we need to concentrate from small and medium scale production, even the family farmers, then indigenous people. Even we need to encourage farming by women, then workers in food value chain. So everybody who come in the chain of food system, so everybody should be supported and they should be interlinked among the entire food chain. So that is called as reimagination of the food system. So this is the complete explanation of the article. And at the end of the conclusion, or after the conclusion, I said I'll also mention the previous year's questions between 2017 and 2019. So you can just pause the video and you can just look at the questions. So these are the questions asked in 2019, question number 7 and question number 3. So they are related to, once again, food security and global hunger, even the sustainable agricultural production and everything. And then question number 13 in the same year, question number 14, then question number 17 in 2018, and question number 1 in 2018 again. So all these things are very important for you. Then we have 2017 question number 8, 2017 question number 4 and 14. So these are all the references for you to ensure this content is very much essential for you to address so many questions in the examination. So thank you very much. So if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer to your queries. Thanks for watching. Namaskara.